The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Napick and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Bill Napick. Thank you for joining us. We have an extra special show today with a lot of content and tremendous guests. So let's get started right now. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Our guest is Dr.Staci Passe. She is right here in Houston, Texas, a tremendous psychologist helping people all the time, and our friend at Stewart Title. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me. It's quite an honor to be able to talk to you guys today.
And also, I'll tell people right up front, you have been helping real estate professionals alongside of our business development people and our sales manager, Roseanne Rogers, because indeed, these are stressful times.
These are stressful times. And, you know, stress looks different for all of us. So with this change and this new norm, you know, there are some people that are finding this kind of relieving. Some of the introverts kind of like being at the house more and staying to themselves, whereas those who get a lot of charge from social environments are, you know, having to get creative in how they stay plugged in and connected to their friends and family. So indeed, this is showing up in lots of different ways for community and our friends and our family. And so part of my role is kind of meeting everyone where they're at, considering their individual differences and their circumstances, and really just empowering them through this change so that we can all come out on the other end more evolved and, you know, just feeling a sense of comfort about this experience.
And let's explore that. But first, let's tell people before this virus event became so real to us right now here in 2020, let's tell people what you've been doing to help people and a little bit about your practice.
Yeah, sure, Bill. So I've been in practice, now it's been almost 22 years. And I've worked in various places around the nation. And so I've been, I have a lot of really cool opportunities to meet with different types of people who are just kind of in different phases of life. So I've worked, kind of with the working well and outpatient. I've worked inpatient. I've worked at residential and recovery and lots of different places with kids, families, adults. And I really feel a sense of purpose, being able to connect with people and just going through life and going through this journey together.
And health is so important. It's more amplified now as we have these uncertainties, but mental health, having the right mindset in whatever we do and also to be able to be mentally healthy is just so important. And sometimes there are challenging times, make it a little bit harder for some of us to deal with things, and you're there to help people.
For sure. And you're right. I think sometimes mental health is not as much of a priority as it should be. And for some people, it's just because they aren't afforded, the advantage to be able to take consideration of their own mental wellness. And instead, other things kind of, come before that, like getting the bills paid or feeding the kids or going to work. But right now, especially, we as a world just have to pause and make sure that we're recognizing what's happening within us, as everything outside of us is in such uncertainty right now.
Well, when this thing started, there certainly was an anxiousness. I know I felt that. We now, at this point, have more of an idea what the problem is and maybe even a handle on it. But give us some of the things. As I mentioned, you have been helping Stewart Title and our friends and associates, our realtor friends out there with some seminars recently. Let's tell people some of the bullet points that you bring forth as you've been helping us.
Sure, Bill. And, I think the first thing to really highlight is we can expect that our own anxiety and kind of angst is going to diminish with time just because of passing of time. So we know that this is not in the short term going to end, right? We have a few weeks, maybe a few months left of this kind of ambiguous place in our world. But with all things considered, we will desensitize to that anxiety. So today we're going to feel less anxious than we did yesterday, and tomorrow we'll feel better than we did today. So if we can reframe that way of thinking and just know that with time, this will become a lot less uncomfortable to us. And so, in addition to just kind of the natural occurrence of time going on, there are things that we can be proactively doing. And so, you mentioned mental health and perhaps some people not really plugging into how important that is in their life. Well, think about ways that you can kind of, kill two birds with one stone. We know that the mind-body is very much related. And so in ways that we find our physical sense getting some support and some reassurance, that also, the mental wellness becomes a byproduct of that. So things like going outside and running. It's recommended we get 120 minutes each week of nature. So just getting out into the sun, making sure that you are eating well at least 3 times a day, continuing sleep habits, all of these very basic things that affect your physical wellness and secondarily your mental wellness. In addition to that, some things to consider are, this is such a unique time. How can we take advantage of it? My job is to help people kind of reframe their current distress. So while this is a difficult time, it's also a time that creates this wonderful opportunity for us to learn things, to explore things, to evolve, to connect creatively. And so once we're able to kind of be at one with our sense of physical wellness, then really start to pay attention to all these other things that can make this less of a distressing time.
In fact, when challenges are upon us at any time, it is an opportunity for us to grow and to even, I think now as I don't think we've ever faced the term lockdown or have so many people being at home, but it's a time where it's a reflective time, and we could, as we think about coming out the other end, come back stronger, perhaps wiser, and have learned a few things along the way so that 2020 will unfold to be a very successful year for all of us and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, if nothing else, we as a nation, as a world, we are being forced to understand what it feels like to be still, to take away all of the white noise around us and just kind of come to a mindfulness about what's happening in the here and now. And that is such a rich opportunity that does not happen in our day-to-day because we're thinking of, getting to this next place or doing this next thing or seeing this next person. And now we just have to be. And I think a lot of people, without this time, in our space, in our life, we would never have learned what that feels like. And it is such an incredible experience that can absolutely be life-changing.
You're exactly right. In fact, we are here in the Houston area. Certainly, it's the 4th largest city. People are saying it's the 3rd largest city. It is, like many places, a very busy city. And those of us that are engaged, perhaps in several things, it can be very busy. That is a great point, that we can now be still a little bit, take a few notes, maybe even jot a few things down so that when the pace picks back up, we're ready to go forth and enjoy life and make our respective contributions.
Yep, absolutely, Bill.
As we think about the real estate professionals out there, one of the things that I think is that we are fortunate in the real estate profession that this still, at least in Houston, Texas, I think is a bright light in the economy. But yet the real estate professional, even though there's opportunities, most of them that are involved in real estate brokers are independent contractors. So they don't have that certainty of knowing that even though they still have a job, they don't have that regular paycheck coming in. So there may be a little bit more anxiety or apprehension and scrambling to say, oh man, what do I do now? It's a little bit more pressure. What should the real estate professional or independent contractor in any field think about these days?
You know what? That's a great point because while we can talk about, take advantage of this time and this is a great opportunity, the reality is that at the end of the day, people have to sustain their lives and the lives of their families. And if they're worried about a paycheck, that absolutely can kind of hijack all of these other wonderful things that could potentially be outcomes at this time. There's not really a way to negate the anxiety that people feel about their livelihoods right now. Now, a way to buffer that, a way to kind of mitigate that would be to think about the things that you do have control of. And so what I encourage people to do is not only think about these things, but write them down. Make a list, hang it on your mirror. 10 things that today you have control over. Because right now we're feeling such a sense of powerlessness and a lack of control. Let's regain some of that and say, okay, today I can control the fact that, I'm going to reach out to 3 clients, or I can control the fact that, I'm going to go on a 1 mile jog, or I can control the fact that I'm going to help my kid get set up with Zoom. As insignificant as it might seem, psychologically, it's imperative that we are able to consider ourselves self-sufficient, autonomous, willful, because there are a lot of things that are kind of out of our control right now.
What are just some of the basic things that you guide people to think about in just everyday life when it's, quote, normal?
One of my favorite kind of probes to ask folks is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I think that question is even more relevant now than it ever has been. But nevertheless, we can think of that, outside times of distress and stress. If you did not have fear, what would you move forward and do with your life? And let's come out of that comfort zone. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something like jump out of an airplane, but it could be something so simple as invest money, or get on, a dating app, or consider adopting a child. Or if we're able to just compartmentalize our fears, we will get to the root of what brings us joy, and we can make movement in that direction. Right now it's so easy to kind of get lost in our own day-to-day and just, survival mode, I think, is what a lot of people are in. We talk about the 3 ways that people often cope with crisis, and it's fight, flight, or freeze. People are either completely, going all in and fighting this thing and hoarding toilet paper and Clorox wipes, or they are flighting. They're running away, shutting down, saying it's a conspiracy, it's not that bad, or they're freezing and they just don't know what to do to help themselves. I say, let's keep in mind all those coping styles, kind of check ourselves as to where we're engaging, and connect with people around us so that we can feel a support in getting through this in a healthy way. Because the more people that we talk to in our day-to-day lives, not just, friends on Facebook from high school, but people in our day-to-day lives, connect with them, check in with them, exchange with them. Let's all kind of, lean in so that we can get through this really uncertain and kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And doctor, if someone wants to have their very own session with you, certainly the listeners here in Houston, Texas, they can reach out to you. How can they do so?
Yeah, I would love to talk with anyone about how I can support them. I have a beautiful office in the heart of Montrose near downtown Houston. My phone number is 713-489-8478. And my email is Dr. Passe, Passe, at Be Someone Therapy. And it is my goal that we can all lean in and become the person that we are destined to be, not only through this coronavirus, but through the lives that we've been given.
And the phone number one more time, doctor?
713-489-8478.
Dr. Staci Passe, thank you so much for being on the show.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827.
Our guest is Tammy McCall. She is with Johnson Development, Realtor Relations Extraordinaire. What a title. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be with you.
Well, it's great to talk again to someone with Johnson Development. It's been quite a few years on this show, so we're glad that you're here. Your title, Realtor Relations Extraordinaire. Let's tell people a little bit about that. That is a great title.
Well, thank you. I actually was working for Trendmaker Development back in Cross Creek Ranch in January of 2010. And within a couple of years, Johnson Development swooped in and bought Cross Creek, which then put me as a Johnson Development employee. And I had the honor and privilege of working with Susie Goff. She was our marketing guru. And when she got ready to retire, she actually came to me and asked me if I wanted to continue running the Welcome Center at Cross Creek, or if I had other adventures that I thought I'd be, more fit for. And I told her that I really wanted to get out, work with realtors, represent more Johnson Development communities. And voila, January of 2015, I became the Realtor Relations Specialist, and they asked me to give myself a title. And so I did, and I really, as quickly as possible, had a bunch of business cards printed up so that they couldn't tell me no. So that's how I became the Realtor Relations Extraordinaire.
Well, I have a feeling wherever you were prior to that, extraordinaire would probably be on any business card you've ever had.
Oh,
But let's tell
you're
people,
too kind.
Johnson Development is a tremendous name, certainly here in Houston, super developments all over. Let's tell people about what you're doing and some of the developments right in the Houston area. How is it going right now?
Absolutely. Johnson Development has been around now for over 40 years. Larry Johnson started the company out, and with just a few communities, and now it has grown to where we have 14 communities in the Houston area. We have the one in Atlanta, we have 2 in the Dallas area, and we have 1 in the Austin area. And for my position, I actually handle the networking and the realtor relations part of it for Johnson Development, anything south of I-10, which is 10 communities, all the way from the Fulshire area out to the Bay area, out to Missouri City. And then we have another amazing young lady, Amy Vance, who handles the realtor relations for north of I-10, which currently actively is counting Grand Central Park and Wood Forest. So those are some of the communities, or those are the communities that we have along, the Houston and the other areas.
Well, you already mentioned Cross Creek Ranch. Let's focus on that just for a little bit.
Sure.
That is in Fulshire, Texas. And those that may be listening outside of the Houston area, that's pretty much directly west from the center of the city. But let's tell people about Cross Creek Ranch. I've been out there. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And of course, that's the one that always will have my heart just a little bit more than my other communities, simply because that's where I got my start in the real estate business. Before that, I worked in human resources and government work. So this was a little bit different. But Cross Creek has 3,200 acres. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got the native feel. You want to go out there, you have the tall flowers and the tall bushes and such, that it's meant for that. It's native to Texas. And you get to walk on those walking trails, which I know for a fact that there's over 25 miles of walking trails right now. I think there will be somewhere around 45 miles of walking trails when they get done. So the amenities out there, they've got 3 pools, they've got the schools. A little bit more than half of it is Katy ISD, and the rest of it is the Lamar Consolidated ISD. We have a little over 3,000 homes, I think, right now, maybe like around 3,300, maybe even a little bit more. And then we're going to have somewhere in the 5,500 number when we get finished with the single family homes. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous neighborhood. Gorgeous.
And let's tell people about some of the other ones. For example, that's in the west. What about the Sugarland area?
Yeah, so in Sugarland, Riverstone, Sienna, and Imperial are the main 3 that stand out for what would be considered the Sugarland area. Sienna is well over 20 years old, over 10,000 acres, and it just keeps growing. It just keeps growing. We just opened up a new model home park in the Heritage Park section of that. The amenities, the parks, I couldn't even tell you the number of parks and pools and all of that we have at this point, but it's gorgeous. What's really cool is we do have our association dues and different things that go on like most places, but these have just a little bit extra touch in that we make sure that our master plan communities never have an old feel. So you drive into them and nobody would believe that Sienna is over 20 years old, as an example. But yeah, so and then of course beautiful builders. We have the best builders in all of our communities. Riverstone, I'm sure you know Riverstone. It's been around as well for a long time, and we're pretty much finishing up there. There's not a whole bunch more that we definitely can't buy any more land or anything around there because it's all built up. The commercials taken off, the schools have taken off. Great areas.
And I know people think when they think of the west side of Houston, we'll call it the west if we include at least that side of the circle, Sugar Land, Katy, Fulshire. I think the developments are so attractive that if people don't have to have their job in a certain area, they try to say, wow, I don't know, should I go to Sugar Land? It's got so many great things there at Johnson Development, or do I want to go to Cross Creek Ranch? It's hard to make that decision because these are all super areas.
Well, thank you. And, I guess it really comes down to just what somebody's looking for. Do they want to feel like they're out in the country but be close to everything, or do they want to be in the middle of everything? And I think we've got that covered in at least several of our communities, to be honest with you.
And circling back to Cross Creek Ranch, I will say this, and they have been guests on the show. They have, in Fulshire, Texas, a super police department. The chief, the captain have been on the show. In fact, the police dog, K9 Belle, I speak of her every now and then. She has been on the show as well. She's a tremendous ambassador for the community. They have it together at that police department. That's, in fact, as I've been out there to visit with them, to me, that's one of the reasons why you'd move out there, to have that extra level of safety. They're incredible out there.
You're absolutely right. Captain Mike McCoy
Yes.
is actually a very good friend. And matter of fact, his brother had a birthday recently, and we did a drive-by parade for him.
I met him too, yeah.
Yeah. He's the executive director of the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is flourishing. It's amazing what they've done. But you're right. The police department, I want to take away from that point that you made, because they, it's just a caring community. You've got the small town Fulshire, but you've got the big heart.
That's
and
right.
Everybody just works together. They're out there making sure everybody's safe. They've actually done some hilarious videos that have made them famous on YouTube. They've gotten on the news. I think Jimmy Kimmel even had something that they had done on his show. So they are definitely people-oriented department.
In fact, it was the captain that gave me, I rode along with him one morning, and he gave me the tour of Cross Creek Ranch. They know how to connect to the community like many others don't. We're talking with Tammy McCoy with Johnson Development. She is the Realtor Relations extraordinaire. Tammy, before we close out the segment, Realtor Relations, what would you like realtors in the Houston area to know about what you're doing?
Well, I'd like for them to know my number one goal is to be here for them as a resource with Johnson Development. They have clients, they have needs, they have things that they're looking for, and they don't know which way to turn. I hope that they will look to myself or Amy Vance and allow us to help them, not have to do all the footwork themselves in getting the information when they have resources like us. So we're here for them, and that is, that's what we want to do.
And Tammy, how can people reach you?
They can reach me either by cell phone, which is 713-303-2731, or by email, tammym@johnsondev, like Victor.com.
And we're going to say hi to Terry Henderson, too, by the way, with your company. Give Tammy a call at 713-303-2731. Tammy, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Our guest is Vinny Sinisi with Team Sinisi Real Estate Group. Vinny, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bill. My pleasure.
It is always fun to talk to real estate professionals, and you actually have a team, but you're part of Keller Williams, right? So let's tell people a little bit about your company.
Okay, good deal. So I've been in real estate since 2005. I've been really in Montgomery County since 1980. Lived in the Woodlands 20 years, and now I live out in Lake Windcrest for the last 21 years. So we started really with just Vinny Sinisi, grew, and in about 13 or 14, we added an admin and VP of buyer sales, and now we have 6 or 7 people on the team that all do various operations, but I'm pretty much in charge of listings. Jan Lose is our VP of buyer accounts, and then we have a few other people that work with us too, so it's going great.
There's so many real estate professionals in Houston. You are doing tremendous. Your team is doing a tremendous job up there. As far as buyers and sellers, when they think about using a real estate professional, a lot of individuals work by themselves, and then there's the team approach, and that's what you're doing. Let's tell people the advantages with your team?
Yeah. The great thing is we're all pretty much specialized, although we've all done all the various arenas of real estate. So everybody's done listings, everybody's done buyer accounts, everybody's done the paperwork, which obviously I try to shy away from. I let the admin do that. Basically, everybody just does their own job, and it works out great. So if you're a buyer, you're going to have the attention of our buyer side of our business. And if you're a listing person, if you want to sell your house, then you're going to have all of my attention. And then we kind of overlap if we have to, but we have a person that just does our listings online. So they put it all on HAR and MLS and all that. And then we also have another person that just does the transaction. So once you get a contract, we have a transaction coordinator that brings you from contract to the closing table. And of course, we have a contract with our photographer. We're one of the few agents and teams that do a Matterport 3-dimensional tour. So you can actually walk through the house without ever having to step in. It's like Google Earth inside your house. That is so important right now, Bill, because nobody can go in a house. So people can see the house without ever having to step across a threshold. It's a great advantage.
That's right. Let's explore that a little bit. As you said that you have someone that's taking care of the listing online, I was thinking, as you said, that online is super important right now, and then you're adding this virtual tour with the Matterport. If someone doesn't know what Matterport is, a lot of people haven't sold their homes for 7-8 years, so it's a new world, even if we weren't in this virus event anyway. But let's tell them about the Matterport and what that brings to the table and some of the other things you're doing to help buyers and sellers during this virus event.
Yeah, we do the Matterport. We've been doing it for about 5 years when it really was brand new, and now it's big. And basically, you'll be able to, on your phone, on a mobile device, on an iPad, on your computer, you can go to any one of our listings and click on the Matterport 3D tour and actually walk through that house like you're walking through the rooms. You press on the little circle and it'll take you to the next room. You can look at the house from an aerial view so you can see the floor plan. And then, in addition to that, you can actually look at the house on a dollhouse view. So you can take off, let's say, the outside walls on the front and look into the house like it's a dollhouse. Very, very cool. Big high-tech stuff.
And that's a great idea, to get an idea of the vision of the home, the way it gives you really a better idea of the floor plan, like looking at the blueprint.
Yeah, we never have anybody say, well, we went in and looked at the house, but we don't like the floor plan, because they can see all that before they ever go in. It helps the buyers, and the buyer agents. They don't have to spend a lot of extra time taking people to houses that they're not going to like. And it helps the sellers because you don't have people coming through your house with the idea that it's going to have one floor plan when they can see it before they ever go there. It's awesome.
As we're in this virus event, how is the market right now in the Woodlands? That's such a beautiful area. Tell us a little bit about the market right now and your feel as we move ahead.
I moved to Houston in '78, moved to the Woodlands in 1980, and really there's never been a bad real estate market in and around the Woodlands. Montgomery County is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. There's been years that are slower and maybe not so robust, although most years something's going on. There's still people buying and selling homes. It's like the stock market. Somebody's buying and selling a home every day. It's just a matter of finding that person. And they want to choose obviously a professional that knows what they're doing in the down market. So I've been through the down markets back in 06, 7, and 8, and we've obviously weathered that storm. The difference with the pandemic that we've got going on now is we really don't have a lot of data to find out, where this is going to go. In 06, 07, 08, that was just bad loans. Everybody was, ripping everybody off, unfortunately. And now this isn't really about loans. This is about people being able to keep their jobs so they can afford their mortgage. And there'll be a lot of help from the mortgage companies. We have a lot of stimulus help from the government. And this is the greatest country in the world. What country in the world hands out $3 trillion to people and says, here, we hope you can make it? So it's really uncharted place that we're at right now. We're going to have a recession, period. Boom. There it is. I said it. and that's just the way it is. And we'll get through it. We've been through many recessions before, obviously. And I know people think I'm old. I wasn't really through the one in 1929, although my mom was. And she survived. She raised 2 kids with no dad and did great. So we'll get through it. We just have to go through it together and help each other out.
And you said, yeah, here's $1 trillion some dollars. That is incredible. In fact, this morning, and I am not a tax person, so my disclaimer is people double check this, but I was wondering about the money. I know my son and his wife received money, and I was wondering, is that money tax free? And apparently my Google search says it is. That in itself is phenomenal, if that's true. Like I said, double check me, but
yeah, that's the word I heard too. And that's why I say this is the greatest country in the world. What other country is going to hand out trillions of dollars and say, here you go, sorry for the inconvenience, and we know that you lost your job or you got your salaries cut or you've been furloughed, but here's some money to help you get through it. It's awesome. We're going to see lower prices in houses, and that's a prediction. And we're probably going to see, a little less traffic, although all those people that wanted to, buy houses 6 months ago still want to buy a house, and all those people that wanted to sell their house still want to sell their house. Prices may be different, that's all.
Idea of real estate, when you have to buy, you have to sell, that is always there for some people. So I think it's still a bright spot in the economy. And when we hear the news, I say it all the time, our real estate market is different than the United States because we hear different things. I saw in the Houston Business Journal just over the weekend that March was an incredible month. So,
I know it. I read that too. It's awesome.
That is awesome, and I'm glad we're in Houston. We have our challenges, no doubt. But
the luxury we have, Bill, in Montgomery County and really the Woodlands is the number one relo area in the nation. So as you know, the Woodlands is sold out now, so most of the home sales are resales. What's great about that is that there's all these new neighborhoods that have sprouted up all around the Woodlands. New home builds are going to really decline because they're not going to spend the money when they have the inventory on the ground. Although there's still some great values to be made. And that's the great thing about Montgomery County and where we live. I really feel like it's just a little speed bump. And I think people are frustrated to this point because they've had to stay at home. I've talked to, obviously, hundreds of people, all of our database. We have 5,000 or 6,000 in our database, and not one person has told me that they even know somebody that has the virus. That's a really important fact, and I know that other places have a lot of affected people, like New York, 10,000 people. Although if you do the math, 10,000 out of 8.5 million people is not a big number. It's less than 1%. We're going to get through it. We've gotten through polio. We've gotten through measles. We've gotten through locusts. So just hang in there, people. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
And Vinny, how can people reach you?
They have a website called TeamSinisi.com, TeamSinisi. It's Sinisi name to remember. Sometimes it's not an easy name to spell.
Team Sinisi.
Oh, right. And, that's the best place because that'll have all of our contact information. And they can call me direct, or they can just call the office, and we pretty much respond within 10 minutes. So,
and the number?
281-863-9143. 281-863-9143. Call before midnight tonight.
There you go. Call Vinny Sinisi. Thank you, Vinny, for being on the show.
Appreciate it, Bill. Much pleasure. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy.
Our guest is Mitch Medigovich with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Wood Group. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate it.
Let's tell people first, Mitch, about your company.
Fairway Independent Mortgage has been around 22, 24 years, since 94. Just a little shorter amount of time than I've been in the business, actually. Got in the business in 92. They have been around for a long time and are one of the top, number 4 in the country as far as VA purchase money goes. The culture itself is outstanding. Obviously, we know what's going on in the market right now, and nobody has ever been in this kind of a situation where we've all been asked to be home and we've got this virus going around, and we pivot on a dime. So we're taking a lot of things and a little ahead of the curve as far as the mortgage side goes. So they're doing our leadership is doing an outstanding job of getting us through this storm.
Indeed, to be successful during this environment, it's good to be in Houston, Texas, where we have still a strong market, at least in March, but also to be able to adapt and overcome. And it seems like in all sectors of the real estate world, we are doing that, and you're doing that at your company.
Absolutely. January, or actually our first quarter, we beat our first quarter goals by 105%. And we're already 22% into our second quarter goals. So things are looking very, very good, very strong.
Well, as we think about the market, first of all, you are with Fairway, and tell people where you're located and how you approach your profession. Is it geographically in your zone or what?
Me personally, we're in Houston, near the Vintage, basically 249 and Jones Road. Me personally, I focus on Cypress and 30 to 40 miles around it. That's basically most of Houston. But we're licensed this office all in Texas, California, and Colorado right now, but we focus primarily in Texas in this office.
Let's tell them about Cypress, because Cypress it's a beautiful spot.
It is a beautiful spot. Northwest Houston, still in this market, you figure, I was just doing a little research the other day with just renters. Well, we'll talk about Cypress first. Beautiful piece of property, long history here, who owned the land, that sort of thing. We have the nation's top community here that won an award through the GHBA recently, which is Town Lake. And then we've got a beautifully master planned community called Bridgeland here. I live in Black Horse Ranch, which is right next to that. And but both of those are award-winning communities. Bridgeland has over, miles and miles of walking trails and many, many lakes the kids can play at.
And as far as people right now, what should buyers that are seeking a mortgage know right now? Because it is different from the mortgage aspect. Should they be ready sooner, or what are the things happening if I say, hey, Mitch, I need some money to buy a home in Cypress?
Well, it's a good time to buy. Right now is an outstanding time to buy. The interest rates are so low right now, and buying a house itself is still a very, very good time. So everybody that I talk to as far as real estate agents are talking about multiple offers on homes. So I think that as far as this, what we're talking about, somewhat of a recession, we're still going to see home prices continue to go up, and I think that we're also going to slingshot at one point once this kink in the hose is unkinked.
I have a theory also, Mitch. I don't know if I'm going to be right, but I have a feeling, especially when we look at densely populated areas like New York, and even in Houston, it's densely populated inside the loop and even thereabouts near that loop, that 610 loop. I have a feeling there may be people moving that aren't dependent on being real close to their jobs, depending where their jobs are. I have a feeling some people are going to want to have a little bit more elbow room. What do you think of that theory? They may come to Cypress.
I completely agree with you. Actually, I was just talking about that the other day. With everybody that's crammed into certain areas, not necessarily crammed in, but, they're in closer quarters now, and they're having to stay at home or do whatever, they are going to want a little more elbow room. You might want to get out in the, I don't know if you call them suburbs anymore, but get out here with the pool and neighborhoods. You can walk around and not be as close to as many people if we're having to have the distancing thing going on.
The idea of being close to a walking trail where someone can leave their home with the dogs or without the dogs and be on that trail instantly, that's a nice thing. And if they can look at a lake like you're describing, even better.
It's a beautiful thing. Bridgeland, all you're doing is walking around the big lakes. It's amazing. I drove through there the other day. Just all the kids still playing out at the park or walking around at least and riding their bikes and everything else. So it was beautiful.
A lot of people haven't purchased a home in a long time, so things are always changing. What are you advising people now, how to be ready, and what should they do? What kind of documents and stuff should they have ready for you?
Well, what's interesting is that there are so many people here renting right now. There's 470,000 people in Harris County that can qualify to purchase a home but are still renting. And the biggest misconception there is that they have to have a 20% down payment. That's a big thing. So it's 2020, and people are still thinking that they need a 20% down payment when you can actually put as little as 3 to 5% down. So really what we do is, once you call me, we go over a plan and review your complete application. We look at your assets. We look at your income. We'll collect bank statements and collect pay stubs. And from time to time, I'll collect your tax returns to review what that is. I work with a lot of small business owners. So I'm an expert in reviewing their tax returns and calculating the income from there and finding that income that they might not have thought they had. So those are some of the things that we'll look at and then to help people get into homes. We do now, I like to call it the contactless home loan with our Fairway mobile app, which has been around for a while, and now we're just advertising it a little bit differently.
As far as you're feeling, we know March was very good considering, well, even without the virus event, it was ahead of 2019. What is the feel that you're getting, say, for now through the end of the year? I know there's a lot of uncertainty, but what do you think is going to happen?
Well, what I do is I do a lot of research, and I keep up to date on all of the information that's out there. So some of the best economists have already put out numbers for what our GDP and everything else is going to be coming up in the next quarter. So the last 3 weeks of Q1 was really what got us down by 2%. It was a negative 2% there. And then this quarter is projected to be a negative 18%, but then it looks like we're going to, in Q3, is slingshot forward with a 10% positive. And then Q4 should more normalize, be around 2.6 or so. That's the data that I look at. I feel personally like we might see July and maybe August be a little bit slow. And the only reason I say that is because all of the business that I'm doing right now is from all of the work I put in 90 days ago. So now I'm still doing quite a bit of work, but it's all virtually. I'm still doing quite a bit of networking. With all of that being virtual, I'll have to see how the next 90 days works out. So a little uncertain, but I think that some of the best economists are saying that we're going to be looking pretty good at Q4. You know, I help bring some clarity into this uncertain market. So if you're working with me, that's basically what I've done. I've been financing dream homes and investment properties since 1992 and can help each and every one of you, whether it's in a consulting role where I can just answer the questions for you, let you know if it's going to be the best idea to go forward with either a refinance or a purchase for you right now. And if it's not, we put you on a plan to figure out how to get that done.
And Mitch, how can people reach you?
My phone number is 281-581-0462. So 281-581-0462, or you can catch me on the website at mitchknows.com or Facebook at Mortgage Mitch USA.
mitchknows.com?
mitchknows.com.
That's too easy, Mitch.
Very easy.
Or you can call him at 281-581-0462. Mitch, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely, Bill. It's great to talk to you.
I say it all the time, stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer. And now, Hope Moy. Hope, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill. So good to be on the show today. Thank you.
Let's tell people quickly, Hope, you are in the Montgomery County area doing tremendous work for Stewart Title all the time. Give us an idea of what's going on in the area.
It is, with everything going on with COVID-19, it has been a steady market in Montgomery County. So we're so excited. I know that for a lot of industries, it's been hectic, not knowing what's going to happen. But, you know, our escrow officers are killing it right now. We are still getting contracts, and it's different. There's a new norm, but we're still making it happen.
Well, and I think, as you say that, Hope, we're very fortunate, all of us, to be in the real estate profession at this time because there's always a need. It's just that, that now we're adapting and hopefully overcoming in our respective areas, right?
Yes. I mean, I think that it has pushed us to learn some new things with remote online notarization, having to really cope and understand and work around what's going on right now. And I think that we have all gone over and above and beyond for our customers. I mean, anything to make it happen because we know how important closing that transaction is.
That's right. And Hope, quickly tell us, when we say Montgomery County, for people listening outside of the Houston area, name a couple of the cities that encompasses, and also let's tell people when they want to close at Stewart Title in your area, what should they do and who should they call?
Myself work for the Magnolia and Conroe offices under 5 escrow officers. So, and then my counterpart, Becky Shannon House, is also in the Woodlands. So we have 3 offices right now in Montgomery County that can serve you. If you would like to reach out to me to see which office fits you best, you are more than welcome to call me at 346-224-1908. 346-224-1908.
Well, thank you so much, Hope Moy. And if you forget that number, just Google Stewart Title, Hope Moy, 346-224-1908. Thank you, Hope.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill.
Real Estate Matters would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance, with a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers. Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risk. And today, once again, one of the highlights of the show, John Bramlett. John, welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Indeed, you are our highlight, Mr. Bramlett. Let's tell people what we want to discuss today.
Well, Bill, it's always important, from an annual basis to have checkups, whether it be for your health, a physical, your finances, your taxes, and also your business insurance. So today we're going to talk about the opportunity for a business insurance checkup. For our business insurance or our business real estate partners that are listening today, we'd like to offer them a business insurance review. We want to ensure that their coverage meets their current and upcoming insurance and business needs. And that simply can begin with a discussion.
That sounds like common sense, John. That's a great idea.
Well, it really is, and there's several reasons why it does make sense. And with what we're going through at this present time, there may be an opportunity to sit down and visit with our partners about their business insurance and their business the real estate broker, and how that brokerage might be changing, and therefore how their insurance might change.
Well, it's common sense, but sometimes we tend to not think about the things right in front of us, or we get busy. What are some of the points that we should think about in this review?
Sure. There are several things to consider, and really several reasons why we ought to have a business insurance on an annual basis. First, your business changes and it grows. Have you added or decreased the number of employees? What kind of offerings have you had? Have you increased your revenue? Has your revenue decreased? How you conduct business, has that changed? Those are reasons why that it would make sense to take a look at your business insurance. Your coverage itself might need to change. Let's say you decided to go completely as a virtual organization coming out of the pandemic, and you wanted everybody to work remotely. That might increase your risk for cyber threat. So let's talk about, do you have cyber insurance coverage? And if so, is it the right coverage for you? And if not, what would be the right plan? Are there areas of vulnerability that you have? Do you have a large full-time staff without workers' compensation coverage? Are you in a state that requires workers' compensation coverage and you don't have it? Those are the kind of things that can leave you vulnerable. It gives you an opportunity to kind of refamiliarize yourself with the plan. When was the last time that you really sat down and took a look at your plan and understood what that coverage is? Just kind of a nice reminder of what coverage you have, what coverage you don't have, and where's that void, where are those potential risks. Insurance is not a one-time thing. It's not a set it and forget it situation. It's ever-living, breathing situation. We talked earlier about the analogy of your personal health. You don't go to the doctor one time and then everything is fine. At minimum, you're having annual physicals, and we ought to do the same thing with our insurance plans. Have an annual review, and then look at different options. What is the value that I'm receiving? Is the value truly meet the needs that I have, and what my anticipated needs are? To be able to compare that right coverage with the right premium, with the right deductible, can have a great impact on your business.
No question about it. Things are always changing, and we need to take stock of these things. And now we might have a little bit more time to think about them, and I think businesses are being, and individuals as well, are being a bit more reflective. So this is a perfect time for them to think about it.
Absolutely. We're finding that our clients are being a bit more reflective these days, and they're wanting to know what are the options out there. Is the coverage that I have meet the needs that I have now, and knowing that we're going through a difficult time, but it's going to end, and we need to be able to take a look. And once we get back to business as usual, is the coverage that I have adequate for the way my real estate brokerage is established? Part of it is, don't do it alone. Reach out to your insurance advisor, whether it's Stewart Insurance, which we would be happy to work with you on that, or your current insurance advisor, but make sure that you have a partner that you can work with. Be able to set a few minutes aside to have that conversation. Put your hands on the business policies that you have. Have an understanding about what your limits are, what your deductible is, what your premium is, when your expiration dates are. Those are all key points of information that are helpful, as we begin that insurance review process.
There's no question about it. And when people do call you and consult with you or someone on your team, they can be sure they're getting top insurance expertise, but also it's tailored. You're asking the right questions. You're asking the questions people don't know to ask sometimes.
Well, that's it. I mean, we want to make sure that the plan that's in place is a plan that's best suited for our real estate broker partners. We want to make sure that they're properly insured, and everybody's situation and everybody's definition of properly insured differs. So that's why it's important that we have those conversations, because we want you to come away from those discussions and with those decisions to be confident in the business insurance that you have.
And that is those two words. I love it during these reflective times, along with all the stuff that's in our life. Normally, think about being properly insured. And John, if someone wants to reach out to you, what should
Absolutely.
they do?
If one of our real estate broker partners would love to have a discussion about their business insurance, to have that business insurance review, we'd be happy to have that conversation and schedule that discussion. They can reach us toll free at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can send us an email at stewartinsurance@stewart.com. That's stewartinsurance@stewart.com. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com. And when you call or email, be sure and ask for John.
John Bramlett, the one and only. Thank you so much, John, for being on the show. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Boy, we covered a lot today. So much content, so much tremendous guests all the way around. If you want to hear this episode again or any of the others, go to stewart.com/Houston. That's stewart.com/Houston.